Hello, hello. Just pressing buttons here. Can you hear now, dimps, dimps, dimps? Okay, no sound. I'll just keep clicking fucking buttons. And I can swear as much as I like, because if no one hears it. Oh shit, you can hear me now. Okay. Right. I don't know why that was off. Okay, I have to stop swearing then. Okay, so I'll just start again. And sorry if you couldn't hear me. Yeah, so I gave this live stream a title, and I wanted to talk a little bit about the truths about food addiction. And I also wanted to give it a title because sometimes you're a little bit slow with your questions. So if I give it a theme or a name, then maybe that will kind of stir your senses and you will come up with some questions that you actually have about that, which you might not have thought about before. So, what I was saying when you told me that you can't hear me is that food addiction is not a recognized addiction. And I think it's really important that we do talk about it because otherwise it's like we don't want to talk about it. We don't want to recognize that we are addicted to food because other people are going to look at us and they're going to think that, or they're even going to say it out loud. A lot of people do that you're just using that as an excuse for not following through on your diet. And I think that is very detrimental to anyone's healing from addiction. If you have an addiction and people telling you that you're just making shit up, it's going to make it really hard. If you look at the brain and someone who is addicted to food versus someone who's addicted to anything else, they pretty much light up the same way. And there are numerous studies that show that sugar is triggering the addictive pathways. I I I don't know if you like compared it with alcohol and stuff, but if you do it with heroin, you will choose sugar. I'm not saying I think that if you heroin is a lot more dangerous, heroin is a lot more out of this world, and I think there are different people that get different addictions, but we're just talking about here, and this is a rat study anyway, so it doesn't really matter. Or was it cocaine? I can't actually remember. I think it was cocaine. Anyhow, the thing is, it doesn't really matter what the drug is. The brain is lighting up as a Christmas tree. So, in my mind, there is no doubt about whether food addiction is a real addiction. And the second truth is that every addiction is just a neural pathway in the brain, a habit that has a huge reward that we have become dependent on. It does not mean that it's going to be there forever. The pathway will be there forever. It might not be as strong, but it will be there forever. And if you give into it, you will probably get stuck in the same addiction over and over again. But we can create new pathways and make other choices and make them equally easy to choose and equally comfortable. And that's something that very few people talk about. And I think I mentioned this before. I have a guy in about a week and a half, we have an interview scheduled who's talking about the same thing. And he's a counselor, he's a therapist of some kind, and he's helping drug addicts, etc. And that is very, very encouraging to me to see that there are other people out there that actually work according to this theory. And he is also in remission, if you like to use that word, or he has overcome his addictions. But what he's saying is like, I'm not a non-abstinent. What's the word? He's still drinking alcohol, even though he was addicted to alcohol. He can go out, have a beer, and be fine. The way that I can have a piece of cake and then be fine. There is no difference. Just because you once were an alcoholic doesn't mean that you can't ever have a drink again. Thinking that you can't ever have a drink again or you're going to go back to the same behavior and be addicted to alcohol again, That's what the problem is. Because if you're telling yourself that if I have one drink, life is over, guess what's going to happen? Oh shit, I had one drink. Oh well, I may as well just drink now. Same thing. I had one bite. Oh well, I might as well just go and eat the whole freaking cake. That's not useful. And it's not even true. But if you're telling yourself that it's true, then that's how you're going to act. So by us telling addicts of any kind that you need to be 100% abstinent first, that sounds really scary for a lot of people. But secondly, when you have actually overcome your addiction, if you are never allowed to have it again, you're going to be scared of it. And that's not good. When you're scared of things, you're just moving from one prison to another, and you're not able to live your life. So I'm going to stop rambling because this is a Q&A after all. I just wanted to have a topic, but you still don't have any questions. So if you don't have any questions, it's going to be very short. So get your questions in, because now you can hear me. Yes, Queen Pim. Yeah, I don't have my crown on, but sure, I am the queen after all. We can keep in mind that as little as 20 years ago, gambling addiction was not a recognized pathology. 10 years ago, video game addiction was unrecognized. We're getting there. Oh, that's interesting. So 10 years ago, when this was probably 20 years ago, I was 100% addicted to video games. I remember I had got, I think it was Final Fantasy VII for my PlayStation for Christmas. And I spent the whole Christmas holiday playing that bloody game from morning to evening. I didn't do anything else. And that's how my brain works with gaming and sugar. Those are the two things that I tend to be wanting to be addicted to. So I don't game. I mean, I have boring games on my phone because I can't be addicted to them, but I can't play any games that I really enjoy because my brain is straight away like, oh, I get that sense that I need to do more and I need to do more and I need to find out, and eh, it's crazy. When we have thousands of case studies of type 2 diabetes and obesity being successfully treated via an addiction model rather than a nutritional model, eventually the establishment won't be able to deny reality. Yeah, the question is how long that's going to take. And I think one of the problems here is that if they admitted that one can be addicted to carbs, it would be politically and it would be a mess, because what would you do with all the foods that are addictive? Would you have to put a warning label on those foods? Or how would you handle that? And I think just like the thought of doing that would probably have a lot of people wanting to deny it and say, no, 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 that's not addictive. You can eat it in moderation. And we have, what's it called? Portion sizes on. I mean, seriously, when you get these little chocolate bars, let's say they are like maybe 40 grams or whatever. I don't even know what I have, maybe 25. And let's say they're 25 and they're broken into 5 squares. And it says that they're bite-sized and they are shareable. And like, really, for someone like me, if I was having that at least, a few years ago, I wouldn't fucking share it with anyone. I would just like eat it in one go, and that wouldn't be enough. They're too small. So to say like if we're putting portion sizes on and people should be reading the labels and following the portion sizes, I mean, that's ridiculous. It's like if I would have any type of sugary cereal, I would have 5 portions because their portion sizes are like that. They're tiny. That would never fill me up or make me feel anywhere close to satisfied with what I just eaten. So yeah, I think it would cause too much problem for the industry, and therefore there's going to be more pushback then towards anything else. And I'm pretty sure there was pushback with the computer games as well, but it's not, the industry is not as big as the processed food industry, which is pretty much all most people are eating. Do you have suggestions for substitution to get past food addiction? Total abstinence, fasting drastic is only thing that was work for me, but battle returns as soon as I begin eating. Kelly, have you signed up for my free course? Because I'm teaching you how to deal with the cravings there. The thing is that substitutions can maybe work for a while, but the problem with substitutions is that, first of all, they don't, if you crave, so for me, if I crave sugar, I want sugar. I don't want keto brownies or sweeteners. It's not satisfying my brain the same way as real sugar does. And it never has, and it probably never will. It's not possible because my brain is craving something else. So you can substitute with something else and then feel like that was adequate, maybe, but not satiating or fulfilling in any way. It's just like the substitution, and then underneath you still have that frustration that you can't have the real thing. And then you're teaching your brain as well to just continue eating as a response to the cravings. And that is the biggest problem, I think. So I would recommend that you do get my free course. The sign up link should be in the comment or in the description. Let me just check that it's there. Yeah, so if you click that link in the description and then second on top, I think, of second row down, there's a link to the course. You can just sign up there. But I'm teaching you there exactly how to allow yourself to have a craving without giving into the craving. That is the best way I have ever tried dealing with it, and it works. Because as soon as you try to substitute it, the addiction is still there. It's just like we're trying to feed the addiction with something that it doesn't want. So eventually you're probably going to explode. I did every single time. It's like that pressure is just building up. And sometimes I could do it for like a month or two, but eventually it was just like, oh, I just want real sugar. And then I would go and have it. And I wouldn't just have one thing. It was like a full-on binge, because then I've been so deprived for so long that I wanted all the things. So I would even buy things that I wouldn't normally eat, like things that other people like, but I never really ate it in the past, like chips or the savory stuff. I would have it and then I would eat it because it would break up the sweet taste with something different, and then I could go back and eat more sweet things. And it was like, okay, I bought all these things, I'm just gonna do this, and then when I'm done with having eaten all of this stuff, then I can go back and be keto again and eat my fucking keto brownies that taste awful. But it was like, it doesn't make any sense, but my brain was like, if we fill up on all of this, we will be okay for a while. But the thing is that you're never okay for a while just because you're eating more of the crap. So I wouldn't recommend to do that. Fasting can be really good to kind of deal with those cravings, because what is happening like mentally when you're fasting is that I'm not eating anything. It's like it's off the table, so you don't even entertain the idea of doing it. So what you can try to do is, like, the sweet stuff or whatever it is, it's off the table. You don't eat that when you're eating food, but it's so much harder to do. For some reason, it's a lot harder to do, because when you start eating, it's like, well, it's just another food, and then we start justifying why that might be good for us or whatever. But if we're not eating anything, nothing enters the mouth, then it's easy to stay away from it, and the mind goes calmer as well. Plus, if you have any sort of blood sugar issues or whatever, like blood sugar induced cravings, then those are obviously not going to be there unless your blood sugar is getting really low, but then we usually just want food anyway. We can speed it up by being vocal. Industry will adjust itself according to consumer demand because they have to. It already happened with the low-fat craze. Industry responds to consumer demand. Well, I hope you're right. I am being loud. And you guys go and be loud. Okay. Keto desserts were a good stepping stone for me. Now the only sweet thing I ever eat is a few blueberries or flavored LMNT. Yeah, keto treats. Yeah, I guess it could be a good stepping stone, but my stepping stone was many, many years, so it was not a good thing for me. And I tried to make so many things, um, and I can't remember anything being really good. And I'm sure if you buy all these pre-made fucking flowers and full of chemicals and stuff, then maybe you will get something that actually tastes really nice. I heard of other people actually making really nice keto treats, but when I was doing this, there was a lot of almond flour in, and I don't even like almond flour. And now thinking back, like, oh my god, there's so much oxalates and probably semi-destroyed fat. Even though I made my own almond flour sometimes, so that was probably better. But I never really liked it. It was just like, okay, it's a little bit sweet, so it's yeah. The word adequate comes to mind again. Like, it's it's better than nothing, but not a lot. And then I just keep eating more and more and more, trying to satisfy something that I couldn't satisfy with it. I think the best thing I made was like keto bounty bars. So there was a lot of, from memory, there was cream, coconut oil, and coconut, shredded coconut, and stevia or something, and then just dip that in dark chocolates. That was probably the best one that I ever made, but there was a lot of work involved and a lot of mess, and those bloody bounty bars disappear very quickly. So yeah, I could have been making them every day and gone crazy probably. Industry is already adjusting to the demand for low carb products. Are they optimal? No, but the trend is indefinite. In what word is that? Identifiable, is it? How, my brain is getting dyslexic apparently. I'm like, what is it actually saying? Identifiable. Thanks, Patricia. Use more complicated words. Trip me up. Um, Substituting keto sweets for other sweets, I agree with Pim. I focused on eating only most nutritious foods, then I could not justify eating crappy foods that actually damage my body. Yeah. Um, and just like dimps, I'm eating blueberries sometimes, but I'm not eating blueberries because I'm substituting it for anything. I'm eating it because probably a lot of the reason is because I'm eating yogurt. And that was a way for me to get a little bit more protein in, even though it's not a lot of protein in yogurt. And now it has become a habit. I'm not doing it every day, but it has still become a habit. And it's like, oh, I'm a little bit hungry and I don't really want the whole meal, but maybe I should just have some blueberries and yogurt. It's kind of a go to. And maybe I should just cut it out. I'm still waiting for Cami. I said I would cut out dairy with her, so when she's ready, I'll cut it out. And then I probably won't have any blueberries either, because it's not like I don't like them. I like blueberries, but it's a little bit boring to just eat blueberries. And my brain is a little bit, oh, that's just sugar, even though it's maybe 10 grams. It's fuck all. Pim, do you think there's any hope for a 74-year-old, not me, who decades ago overcame alcoholism but replaced it with sugar? Yeah, absolutely. You're never too old. The brain is very plastic. You can form new neural pathways, new neural connections, no matter how old you are. So if you're 74 and you want to do it, then I can't see why that wouldn't happen. But it's always about wanting to do it, because if you don't want to do it, you're not going to go through it. That's the problem, is often is that, oh, I'm not sure, maybe I'll do it later and blah blah blah. If you're there, it's probably not going to happen, because it's not going to be comfortable. I'm not going to lie to you and say it's It's fun. It can actually be quite fun. It's fun when you see that things are happening. It's fun when you notice the first time that, oh my god, the craving went away. It's fun when you have a craving and then it stops on its own. That is a lot of fun. And it's always a wonder. And the most fun I've ever had was probably doing like an exception eat when I went back and I had like something sweet and it was like, whoa, I don't actually like it that much. That's fun. But to get there every time you have a craving and to get over that hump of allowing yourself to have the cravings versus resisting having the cravings, there is usually resistance to doing that. And before you got there, that's not going to be fun because it's going to feel awful. And then you have the dopamine withdrawal. There's some, not everyone seems to actually be suffering so much from it, but a lot of people do. When everything just feels grey and boring and hopeless and useless, and what's the point? That might be hanging on for a few weeks as well. That's not going to be fun, but it's fun every time you see some progress and you can see that this is actually working. So if you're 74, if you're 84, I don't care. You can do it if you want to. Yes, looking back, they were not healthy. Live and learn facepalm. Now I think of the almond flour and all the oxalate. I didn't know then. Yeah, same. Anti-diabetes establishmentarianism. How's that? I think I kind of said it, not completely fluently, but there you go. Why cut out if not causing an issue? Okay. I'm assuming that you mean the dairy. So I know 10, 15 years ago, I don't even know how long ago, it was a long time ago, I did an elimination diet. I wanted to see if I maybe was sensitive to nightshades or whatever. Nothing came up other than whey protein for me. And my tummy is like really good. I have never had any problems with it. But when I reintroduced whey, and I actually did it as whey powder, like a protein powder, my stomach, oh my god, that hurt so much. I thought I was gonna die. And then I was like, okay, so I don't know if it's the whey, but there wasn't it was unflavored, it was like nothing in there. And then I tried some ice cream and the same thing happened, just not as badly. And there is some whey in ice cream. So I figured that I'm not really tolerating whey very well, but lactose doesn't seem to be a problem as far as I know. Um, so I'm probably not doing the best on dairy, even though now I'm eating it several times per week and I don't have a problem. It's like you get used to it and then you don't notice anything, but it's probably not the best food. But a lot of my life, I haven't eaten a lot of dairy, so I'm not really sure why. It's just like the last year that I've reintroduced it after I tried to go zero carb, and then it just became a habit. So it's probably not the best thing for me to be eating. So could potentially cause a problem for me. And yeah, I don't know. I have little else to say about that, and I hope that that was what you were asking about. Oh, chat is jumping. When I was keto, I made homemade desserts all the time, and no matter how full I was, I would eat the keto desserts. Now on carnivore, once I eat them, satiated and don't want anything else. That's very interesting. That's one of the things with me. I think that's one of the reasons why I started eating yogurt as well, is that I cannot eat more meat. It's like if I put another piece of meat into my mouth, I will feel like I get that gag reflex. It's like I can't eat it, so I stop. But I'm not usually satiated or I'm still a little bit hungry. So if I'm eating a bit of yogurt, it will kind of fill that space. So I don't have that experience that you have, Vicky, and I envy you because I wish that I could just eat until I was like completely satiated and then be done with it. And that's not my experience, unfortunately. Oh shit, here's another word. That's a made-up word. I'm not even going to try, Vicky. I'm going to ignore you. My aunt has cancer. She's also diabetic. She wants to eat sugar and just takes more insulin. I tried to introduce her to keto, but she wasn't open. Now cancer, so sad. Yeah, I have I have an aunt as well. She is a type 2 diabetic. She has been on metformin for many years, and the metformin gave her liver cancer. And the doctor said, yeah, that's a known side effect apparently, and I hadn't heard about it before. And I'm not really sure what her diagnosis is now. They were going to look if they could remove some, and then they said, no, it isn't, you're too old, we can't do it because you will probably die, so it's better that you just go home and wait until you die, pretty much. But then that wasn't quite as bad, I think, and now I'm not really, it wasn't as bad as they made it out, like made it sound to her, because when she asked someone else, they were like, no, this just means this and that, and then she was going to have the operation, and then they cancelled it, so I don't really know what's going on now. But yeah, and she's not really open to going low carb. It's like she's on my Facebook list, and I always see like, yeah, and today we had like, she's Swedish, and I don't know if you have heard the Swedish word fika, which is like afternoon tea when you have like some cookies or something sweet with a cup of coffee or whatever. And there's always like some sandwiches or cookies or whatever, and I just want to pull my hair out. And I agree with you. It's really sad, but we cannot control other people. They have to do what they need to do. And unfortunately, if let's say she actually believes that this is the end, there's nothing I can do about it, why would you make the effort to change your diet? The first step would be to make her believe that this is actually working. And I have my doubts about whether I will be able to do that or not. Probably not. Whey protein powder activated my sinuses, runny nose. All right. Yeah, I mean, that's one thing as well. I have sinus issues that I'm trying to deal with in all sorts of ways. And I don't notice any difference if I cut out dairy. Like zero. So I don't know, but it's probably not good anyway. Yeah, whey protein causes major stomach cramps for me. So yeah, we're in the same camp then. Sharing. I have been making one serving ice cream 1 to 2 times per week. Better than keto ice cream. Too sweet on carnivore diet has kept cravings away. Yeah. I mean, if you use it as a tool towards actually quitting rather than something that you substitute with on a permanent basis, I have no problem with it. But you need, if we can just see it as a tool, like a stepping stone to get to where you want to be, that's fine. If that's like the way that you go slow, I'm 100% on board. And here's the recipe if anyone wanted that. Maybe fermented yogurt overcomes the whey issue. Probably not. I'm angry at the bigs, pharma, medicine, government, etc., who have told us all these lies. Yeah, I have had to let that go because I was quite angry about that for many years, and it just stresses me out, and it doesn't lead anywhere, and it doesn't produce any results. So I'm like, okay, they're gonna be idiots, let them be idiots. I'm gonna do whatever I can to spread the word about whatever is the opposite of what they say. I think we need to bring a little bit of lightheartedness and humor into it, because it's going to drive us insane if we take everything so seriously, and if we're going to be angry at all these people that are just doing crazy shit that doesn't promote health or even like outright make people sick or die. I'm not going to talk about anything because then I'll get banned, but all the things that they do that doesn't actually promote health, I mean, it's a lot. So if I was focusing on that and getting upset about that all the time, I would be permanently depressed, I think, and so angry and feel hopeless. So yeah, I've had to change the way that I look at it and just accept that that's what they are doing and look at what can I do to make it better and then focus on that. Oh, from Mary Poppins. I have never watched Mary Poppins. I'm sorry. I'm still not going to try to say it. I have to listen to Mary Poppins and see what she says. Truth, yes, unfortunately. I mean, I wish that I could just like hammer it into people's heads. That's what I tried to do when I was in my 20s. And I had just discovered that low carb is the best thing on earth. And people were complaining, like, oh, I'm so fat. And then they're sitting and drinking soda all the time. I'm like, cut that shit out. Yeah, but I can't drink water. Of course you can drink fucking water. This okay, so I'm if you I've already mentioned it, but I'm Swedish and I moved to the UK about 15 years ago. It was a shock culturally. I mean, seriously, it doesn't sound like it should be. It wasn't that far away. Like geographically, it's not that far away. But coming there, I like when I went to the store and I bought like shredded coconut. I didn't get shredded coconut. I got shredded coconut with added sugar, and I was baffled. I didn't want any sugar in my coconut. And I'm like, why is anyone added sugar? Why do they add sugar to the shredded coconut? In Sweden, that is not even a product. It had never entered my mind that that was a possibility, that I had to read the freaking label on shredded coconut to make sure that it wasn't sweetened. Like these things kept happening. And in Sweden, if you, at least at the time, I don't really know what it's like now, if you went to the supermarket and you were going to buy a donut, you would pick a donut out of a cupboard where they kind of usually but they bake them in store. In the UK, you don't really have that. You have 5 packs of donuts. So if I wanted one donut, I would end up with 5. Guess what happened when I moved to the UK? I gained a lot of weight, like very rapidly. And I'm like, what is happening? Because if the donuts are there, like these multi packs of everything, I'm gonna eat them. So rather than eating one, I would eat 5 just because they are there. I wouldn't, as a sugar addict, I wouldn't leave it. I couldn't leave it. And just the way that people were looking at food and health, and it still baffles me. And I'm thinking back, and I'm pretty sure they have a lot of more crap products in Sweden nowadays, but it was like I just stepped into an alternate reality where food was just fucked up. And then I met all these young people. I mean, I was about 30 then. I met all these 20-year-olds and I started working at the gym and stuff. And they had back pains and knee pains, and they were, I mean, they were like old, decrepit people. And I'm like, what the hell is wrong with this population? Back in Sweden, everyone's like bouncing and healthy. Well, not everyone, but like most people. And you will be able to tell that this is a young person or this is an older person based on age, not like someone who's 20 walking with a cane. My brain was just blown. And that just shows even more how dangerous the food and the food culture is. And I wouldn't say that. I mean, yeah, Swedish people are, I think they at least were kind of health conscious, and I think they still are fairly health conscious. So maybe they exercise a little bit more, but I don't think that the problem is the exercise part. I think it's just how inflamed people are from the foods and the food choices. Anyhow, we're going to try to wrap this up because I know that Jonathan is probably live now. Let's have a look. Do you think people can get addicted to a non-carnivore, non-sugar comfort food just to reconnect with family and traditions? Yes. I do. Non-carnivore, non-sugar comfort food. Yeah. So a very, very good example is nuts. In the beginning, when I was coaching food addicts, out of my four first clients, three of them were either addicted to peanuts or peanut butter. I don't know why. I haven't had as many people with that problem lately, but that seemed to be a thing at the time. And I was like, what the fuck is up with peanuts? So nuts are just like easy to eat. It's easy to be addicted to. Those addictive pathways can be applied to anything. So yeah, absolutely. Why the holy f do they add sugar to bacon? Yeah, um, I think it's just part of the curing process, and it's probably helping with the preservation. But the amount of sugar that they add, when you can taste that it tastes sweet, is just way too much. There is one brand of bacon which is actually, thankfully, it's the cheap like supermarket brand here. It's the only brand that I can buy that doesn't have a lot of added sugar, which is crazy. And all the other brands, like the with the fancy names and the the pasture raised pork that comes from these nice farms and all of that, they all have too much sugar. It's yeah. Don't get me started on sugar and bacon. I found that my tap water made my mouth dry, which seemed weird. I also didn't want to do bottled water. I learned it might be a pH issue from the municipal water treatment. Okay, never heard of that. You probably know more than me about it. In Why We Get Fat, author Gary Taubes reports that low carb was recommended for obesity at 1974 conference in the US. Later, this older research was diminished in favor of the cholesterol theory. Yeah, 100%. It's not a secret. It's just that they are tooting their own horn for doing low fat instead so loudly that people forget about it. I mean, 74, I wasn't even born, so I'm like the new generation that grew up when they were starting to promote the low fat. So anyone who's my age or younger, we haven't really been exposed to that. So I experimented and discovered that a pinch of food grade citric acid or a few drops of lemon and a pinch of salt totally resolved the issue. Interesting. Okay, cool. We'll keep doing that then. When I first started carnivore, somebody had me make a carnivore bread, and it ended up being to where I could not make it because it made me want peanut butter. Funny. Sorry, I used microphone. Okay, I don't know. So yeah, okay, that's very interesting. What carnivore bread was that? Because I don't think. I mean, I'm eating cloud bread every now and then, but basically it's just so that I can hold the ham on top of something and put a lot of butter on it. I'm wondering if I'm starting to feel a bit lazy if I can just like butter the ham and eat the ham rather than the cloud bread, because the cloud bread is just fluff and doesn't taste anything really. And I've tried to make a lot of them and freeze them, but then you need to reheat them in the oven anyway because they easily go a little bit soggy. Maybe I just didn't let them get dry enough when I put them into the freezer because I put them straight in. So maybe I undercooked this batch or something. Yes, it's that association with bread plus some spread. Yeah. Well, maybe I'm lucky. I'm Swedish. We had peanut butter in Sweden, but eating peanut butter on bread was never a thing. Like in society, it's just not a thing. Yes, Miss Pagan, because you are the last comment, and then I'm gonna shut this down because I think Jonathan is live, unless he has changed his time. And that gives me a little bit of time before my next meeting in 20 minutes. So thank you, everyone who were here on time. I still love you. Here we go. Yes, butter the ham, slice and smear of mustard. I do it all the time. Yeah, I'll probably just start doing that. Yes, I am almost at 5K. Last night, I haven't even checked this morning. Last night I needed 18 more. So if you haven't subscribed, why not? Help me get to 5,000. But also, Actually, well, I mean, the number is nice, but it would also be nice if people watch my shit. Maybe I just need to be more interesting. Okay, so apparently I need 10 more now. So I got 8 while I was sleeping. That's good. I like it. Yeah, okay, so he's on now. So I'm gonna leave you guys. Hop over to Jonathan's stream, say hi from me, and I love you. I will see you next week. Take care.